In this F1 video, we are now going to focus on the Magic Wand tool in 3D Coat's Painting Workspace. What it does is applies a freeze selection as opposed to a standard selection in Photoshop. So it's a bit different in that regard, but in most every other way, it's identical. So in the Tool Options panel, we have the ability to use color tolerance, which has the same value by default as Photoshop, but we could change that if needed. We could also adjust the freeze degree so that we let some degree of opacity through when we're painting or some depth when we are sculpting. But we will stick with the default value of 1, which is essentially 100% for this demonstration. So let me hide this layer and I want to focus on this one. What I want to do is make this area match this one. Okay, so I'm going to hold down the Alt key and click on the visibility icon of this layer so that we can see this a little more clearly. And I first want to select the pixels that I want to use to correct this area with. I can essentially invoke the pick tool by hovering over the area that I want to sample from and hitting the V key. You can do this with depth, color, and glossiness. So I'll disable depth and glossiness and just use color for now because that's really all I'm interested in. So let's go ahead now and pick that area. You can add to the selection by holding down the Shift key. And then on this side, I don't have symmetry turned on, and that's the reason why it didn't apply it over here. But nonetheless, I'll do the same here. Just shift click a few times. Control clicking will allow you to subtract, just as you would find in Photoshop. Okay. Now we can't apply paint information or depth information or glossiness inside of a frozen selection because that's the nature of it, is to prevent that. But we can invert the selection and then make the change. So let's do that now. We can choose invert freeze selection. We could also choose that option from the freeze menu. I'll go ahead and tear that off for the moment. But yeah, let's click invert freeze selection. And now we can switch to another tool like the fill tool or maybe the brush tool. Okay, so I'll just click on that area. And the same here. Okay, and let me invert the freeze selection. I can do that also with a hotkey, just like I would in Photoshop, holding the Control-Shift-I keyboard combination. I'll do that now. If I want, I can now apply a layer mask with that freeze selection. Whatever I have frozen, 3D Coat will generate a layer mask from this. And this also works with vertex painting in the Sculpt workspace as well, just as a side note. But in this case, I don't need that masked out. I can just go ahead and remove the mask by right mouse button clicking. Okay. And now let's hit Control D to unfreeze all. And I'll hold down the Alt key and click on the visibility icon. And you can see our colors now match more closely. And that's going to be a quick look at using the Magic Wand tool in 3D Coat. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.